watching CNN News 18. This is Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde, and we're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Green Lamb Laminates. On the 4th of December, a special screening of Pushpa 2, The Rule, was held at the Sandhya Theatre in Hyderabad. Allu Arjun, his co-star Rashmika Mandanna, and many others from the crew reached the theatre to soak in the response from his fans for his new flick. What transpired next was not anticipated by anyone. At about 9:40 p.m., a massive crowd gathered outside the theatre to catch a glimpse of the act. As Allu Arjun entered the theatre, the excited crowd attempted to follow him inside, and that's when tragedy struck. 35-year-old Revati, her 8-year-old son were caught in the crowd as the actor's security team then began pushing the crowd away. Police personnel on duty tried really hard to pull people out of that crowd, to pull Revati and her son from the crowd as they felt suffocated. There were visuals that came in after that where all attempts were made by the police personnel on duty to conduct CPR on Revati, but unfortunately they failed because she was declared dead upon arrival at the hospital. Close to 10 days later, her son is still in the hospital on life support is what we're learning. Soon after, Allu Arjun released a video and condoled her death, even offered 25 lakhs as a gesture of support to the family. Now, Allu Arjun was arrested this morning, but he's been granted bail just a few minutes ago after the Telangana High Court decided to grant him bail despite a local court sending him to 14-day judicial custody. But is the actor being unfairly targeted? Many in the film industry believe so. In fact, today after Allu Arjun was arrested, Revati's husband, the man who filed the FIR in the first place, said that the actor was not responsible at all and that was not his intention to get him arrested. He even said that he could withdraw the case as well. Now, Allu Arjun was arrested from his residence, from his bedroom specifically, this morning. Before entering the car, the Pushpa 2 actor was seen having coffee. He was speaking to his wife, who was clearly perturbed, trying to make her smile. He then kissed her goodbye and headed towards the police car. He interacted with the police as well. Now, the sections that have been invoked against him are excessive, is what many say. There are two sections specifically that we want to highlight. They are under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The section 105, which is culpable homicide, that not amounting to murder. It is a non-bailable offence. It attracts at least 5 years in jail. The maximum sentence is life sentence as far as this section goes if convicted under this section. Under the BNS, section 118, part 1 is also called voluntarily causing hurt. That is something that has been invoked in this FIR against Allu Arjun as well. Under this, if you are convicted, attracts a punishment of life term or jail of 1 year to 10 years, depending on how grave the offence is. There is also a fine that can be levied against you. Now, even though these were non-bailable offences, the High Court has gone ahead and decided to grant him bail because he has right to life. That's what the High Court observed. But a political fight has erupted in the state of Telangana, the Congress government facing flack for Allu Arjun's arrest. The BRS was the first to point that out. They said this was a pinnacle of insecurity of rulers. That's what KTR said. They condemned the high-handed behavior with which Allu Arjun was arrested, also going on to say that we stand with the victims. But who really failed here? Was it the actor? Arresting Allu Arjun was the Chief Minister's mantra. That's what he's done for other scams and other cases as well, is what they said. The BJP too condemned this tragic death of the woman. They said this was a failure of the Congress government and the police specifically to ensure enough arrangements were made. The negligence and mishandling was completely on part of the state government and the police, said the BJP. On its part, the state government, the Congress, said that the state has nothing to do with this. In fact, the Chief Minister also came out and said that the law will take its own course and neither him nor his office nor his party had any role in the arrest. It was just law taking its course after an FIR was filed. Now, in court today, the public prosecutor said that Allu Arjun's presence was what triggered that melee in which one life was lost. They claim that a little boy is still on ventilator because of that stampede, which is why he cannot be granted bail. But can the cops escape blame completely? On the 2nd of December, 2 days before the stampede took place, Sandhya Theatre had informed the police that there is going to be VVIP presence. That letter that was put out by the BRS today also goes on to talk about how it specifically mentions that Allu Arjun, Rashmika Mandanna and many other actors from the film are going to be a part of this particular premiere. The police knew of Allu Arjun's visit to the theatre is what this letter goes on to prove. The state government and the administration is the last person on ground in terms of managing crowd. Crowd control is not the film crew's responsibility. It is the local administration and the police's responsibility. So if they were informed by the theatre that such a visit by Allu Arjun and the rest of the crew is going to be made, Why was the state government not better prepared? Is that what led to the death of this 35-year-old? Which also brings us to the question that even though Allu Arjun has now been granted bail by court, is the actor a soft target for the state? Is that why we saw the dramatic arrest and all of the rest of the drama that unfolded through the day today? That's what we ask on Plain Speak tonight.
Condolences to the entire family. To Revati family, condolences from me and the entire team of Pushpa.
Is he arrested?
Yes, he was arrested.
I think जो आप ब्लेम है सिर्फ एक इंसान पे नहीं डाल सकते.
Today you directly barge into his residence, into his bedroom and arrest him, and directly you're taking him to the medical authorities, which means this is a well executed plan to send him to jail.
पुलिस फोर्स व्यवस्था के लिए नहीं आती है तो किसकी गलती है? मैं आज मुख्यमंत्री रेवंत रेड्डी से पूछना चाहता हूँ, क्या हीरो की गलती है?
पता कर लेके बोलता हूँ.
Opening this up on Plain Speak, Dinesh Chaudhary, our spokesperson of the BRS, Srinivas Reddy, spokesperson of the Congress, social activist Brinda Adige and Ashutosh Srivastav, lawyer, join us on this broadcast. Let me open up by asking the spokesperson of the Congress party. Srinivas Reddy, the state government in court, the public prosecutor went on to say that he is not a VIP, he is also an accused, that he was mainly responsible for what transpired. But that seems to have not cut any ice, because the High Court went on to say that even if that may be true, he has right to life. And in this case, the cops have not gone on to make a case for non-bailable sections like Section 105 to be actually invoked against him.
Yeah, good evening. Poonam.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. In this case, actually, what we have, what is the information that we have is that the police have. It's been stated that the police have been given a representation that Allu Arjun would be coming to the theatre to visit for a benefit show. Allu Arjun along with some other actors. But here the case is that though the representation or the information was given to the police, anywhere, any information or representation, if it is given to the police, then there has to be a consent from the police department before they starting the show. Without the consent from the police department, let us consider the fact, okay, let us assume that the letter has been given. But there also has to be a consent from the police department in writing stating that so-and-so person can visit and that such and such bandobast will be provided. Here is a case where they say that the representation has been given, and just because the representation is given, that does not mean that they have got the right to just come and come into the theatre. Being a celebrity here, it is you understand that number of fans are it's going to create a nuisance, and without proper bandobast and without proper arrangements, going there will definitely be detrimental in the interests of the state as well as the theatre administration and all. Here what has happened is that life has been lost, and it is a clear-cut law and order situation. Though the representation has been given, the consent from the police department has not come for them.
So are you saying that consent was not given in the sense that there was no response at all from the police, or that the police denied that consent, that you cannot hold this event?
If you have given a representation, it doesn't mean that you get an automatic consent.
Sure.
Only if you have the consent from the...
Sure. So I'm trying to ask Mr. Reddy is that did the police deny? Sure. But what I'm trying to ask is that did the police deny them permission and yet they went ahead with it, or did the police simply not respond to their request and then the theatre assumed it was okay and went ahead with it? Is that what you're saying?
here is a case where they say that the the letter has been given to the ACP. But if it is being given to the ACP, it will be there in the GD, and if something of that sort, if it is a fault of the police department, definitely an inquiry will be held towards that effect, and sufficient action in that angle will be taken. But this letter has been brought forward a day after the incident.
But it's dated a day before.
They are saying that the letter has been given 48 hours or 24 hours before.
Yes,
but
on
here,
48 hours ago. The letter is dated 2nd of December. The stampede took place on the 4th.
Yes, but this letter was not immediately even placed. It was placed a day after the event took place, before the media.
Sure, the media doesn't have
Where
to know if
did
the
this
letter was
letter
given
come
or
from?
no. As far as the letter is given to the police and the police have acted on it, that's what's required. But let me get in Mr. Srivastav as well. Legally speaking, does the police have a strong case? With how they went about this entire thing, because that's what Allu Arjun's legal team has also been saying, that he was picked up without any notice. There was no procedure that was followed before he was arrested. Secondly, many believe that the sections that have been invoked against him are extremely excessive.
Absolutely. See, it is complete, I would say, complete abuse of process by the police officials, complete misuse of their powers. First of all, I don't understand as to how sections 105 and 1181 of BNS has been implicated. See, those sections, for instance, section 105 is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. See, these sections can only be inserted when there is a clear intent, where a person can be, can be caused to death. But here, where is the intention? See, maximum section could have been 106, that too not against Allu Arjun, but the people who were responsible. That section 106 is about death by negligence, which is a bailable offense. But here intentionally 105 was implicated to make it non-bailable. Similarly, section 118, see, that section is what? That is about, giving some sort of grievous hurt, using some dangerous weapons. Where is the weapon used in this case? And secondly, on an actor who has got nothing to do with this. He was simply a visitor. He was invited. So he was an invitee at that place. He had not arranged any such program or anything like that. Now my friend is saying that intimation was given to the police, but police had not provided the permission. Whether the police denied the permission, why is it that the police will just sit on those applications and then they will say if any incidents happens, it is very good strategy. If the program goes well, it is all fine. If it doesn't go well, though, we had not provided you the permission. So what were you doing with that application? You should have rejected it. When the application comes, why are you sitting on that application? You should have rejected. You would have said no, that we are not providing you any sort of permission to conduct any such kind of a program. But here, it is actually the failure of the state police. They should have acted properly. And look at the kind of the way they have arrested him. There is no notice, there is no intimation, nothing. Have you called him for any investigation? Have you called him to the police station to join the investigation? You will directly go to somebody's house in the bedroom and you will just take him away. See, it is India. There is a rule of law which has to be followed by the people, by the citizens, and by the authorities. The laws cannot be taken in such a way where people should not feel offended that if any incidents happens for which my name will be implicated tomorrow and the police will come and just take me away, for which I am not responsible also. See, whatever has happened, the lady died, obviously. The entire country would say, that is something which is, everybody will condone for such kind of...
Absolutely, that has to be condoned, action has to be taken against those responsible. But Brinda Adige, is Allu Arjun the only one responsible in this particular case?
Certainly not. His security team, his PR team, and the theatre management is equally responsible. Now, a mention has been made that a letter has been given to the police. We all know that no matter what public events anybody holds, and this happens to be a public event also, he is a celebrity. You need to get the nod from the police, because the police across India, and I know in Karnataka also, are very clear when they say that Do you know how many people might be coming over there? So if you say 200, 300, the police actually tell you that they don't have the wherewithal. We know police are stretched everywhere. So what would have stopped Allu Arjun's team to have got outside supporters who could have maintained the crowd and managed the crowd, knowing that he's a celebrity and there are people not in hundreds and thousands who will be coming there, women and children. So placing the onus on the police is important, but placing the entire blame on the police, I think that is not called for. I will not comment about the arrest part of it because it is wrong to have arrested only one person and not everybody else who have been responsible.
No, they have arrested some from the theatre management as well. Allu Arjun is not the first one arrested in this particular case.
The security and the PR team.
Yes, 3 others were arrested before this happened. But the letter that we're speaking of, the one that asks for consent, that's in public domain. If the police on record categorically denied permission, why are they not putting it out there? That's not something that they've argued in court either today, which is why questions are being raised on the state's conduct.
Absolutely. The state, at the end of the day, the state is responsible. But we must also understand that if there has not been a consent given, a consent is usually given in writing. For all of us, even when we hold our demonstrations and meetings in public places, a consent from the police is given in writing. So if such a consent has not come, can I assume that it is consent? So that is the question. The point that must be argued and discussed is, if no consent in writing has been received, was a follow-up made to the police stations say that, listen, I've not got any consent in writing, I want it. That is the process, that is the rule.
Sure, but the kind of messaging that comes to the fore, that's something that's being questioned. Allu Arjun's team in court today said that this is nothing but sensationalism because you wanted to put an actor behind bars. The police should also be investigated, but that's not being done. Dinesh Chaudhary, do you believe that there's something amiss, so to say, as far as the state's conduct goes? There have been several other events that have taken place, success parties, promotional events of this particular film, of the same actor in the rest of the country. And we haven't seen anything like this happen anywhere else.
Poonam, watching today's events, you can see there are many lapses in the police argument or the government's defense. First, they said Allu Arjun has behaved in an irresponsible manner. He did not communicate that he would be visiting the Sandhya theatre. But today, the facts have come to fore that they have intimated 2 days before only that the hero, heroine and the entire movie team would be visiting and please provide the bandobast. But the police, they couldn't perform their duties perfectly and they couldn't meet the need of the hour. And after the untoward incident happened, now they are trying to shift the blame upon the actor or the movie team or the theatre ownership. Let me ask you, if they couldn't handle it, they should have denied. They should have denied the permission. They should have allowed it to happen. But being a mute spectator then and later on, they trying to shift the blame entirely upon the movie team is not permissible. And let me tell you, today Telangana is resonating with an argument saying that during the success meet, Allu Arjun forgot the name of Telangana CM Revanth Reddy. That is why this witch hunt is happening and he is being trying to be jailed in a political manner by arresting on Friday, and that too a cause in which he is not directly a party. So therefore, we are actually seeing the emergency kind of Congress rule today in Telangana. The rule of law is not at all being followed.
Mr. Reddy, would you like to respond? Like I said, there seems to be something amiss. If there was a denial on record from the police, then why is it not on public domain? Why is that an argument that was not made in court today? The only argument that the police or the state's counsel was making was that he is also an accused. He is not just a VIP. So don't look at him in that lens. He needs to face the law.
That is what I am trying to explain. They are now saying that they have given a letter 48 hours before, but there is nothing like a deemed consent here.
Sure.
Once you give a representation,
So are you saying that the letter didn't exist on the second?
Permission. There is not even a rejection of the permission.
Mr. Chaudhary, one second, please. Mr. Reddy.
The question is whether
No, so
Yeah,
Mr.
first
Reddy,
of all,
are you
question
saying
is
that
whether-
are you saying that this letter dated 2nd December doesn't exist and it's only come out now? Is that what you're trying to say? Because there seem to be a lot of
That is
flip-flops
what-
on what the police has been saying. First they said no communication, then the letter came to the fore, then they said okay, maybe there was communication but we didn't give permission. Which one was it exactly?
There is an inquiry going into the matter, but as far as we are told that there was no communication earlier from the theatre management or the actors team or the PR team of the actor that the actor would be visiting the theatre on so and so day. And even assuming that they have given, because it is not clear whether the letter has been given or not, and there is an inquiry going into that matter. And if even if a letter was given to the police,
if you look at the letter at the bottom of the letter, there is a
first, let me
acknowledgement from the
complete.
ACP
Mr.
office.
Chaudhary, you have spoken.
stamping.
Let me
There is
complete.
a
After that,
stamping
you
from
can
the ACP
respond to what I
office.
say.
Let him finish,
There's a
please. I'll come.
stamping from the
I'll,
ACP office
okay, Mr.
acknowledging that
Chaudhary,
it's
Mr. Chaudhary, let's try and keep this civil and let's not try and speak over each
No,
other.
it is civil.
Let's
There's
not
an
try and speak over
acknowledgement
each
from the
other
ACP
because
office.
nothing comes out of it. Let Mr. Reddy finish. I'll come to you and I'll give you time for your rebuttal. Go ahead, Mr. Reddy.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate incident that death has happened here, but ultimately there is no consent for the program there. And without a consent, knowing that being a celebrity, knowing that once a celebrity comes, there will be a rush and there will be pushing around and there could be a stampede. They should have taken the minimum responsibility of creating or informing or intimating whatever reasons, I don't know, for reasons best known to them, they have not intimated or they have not taken the, whatever measures had to be taken in the theatre. And once this issue has happened, the state government is very clear that it is an unfortunate incident and whatever has happened should not have happened. And if the police is at fault, definitely our CM has already made his stand clear that if they are at fault, their action would also be taken against them.
Sure.
And as far as right now, what we can understand is that since their FIR has been filed, stating that they are the actor and his team are at fault, and the theatre management has already been taken into custody the immediately next day. And after inquiry, the actor has been taken into custody today morning, and our CM is very clear on this that
Sure. So the
law will
state
take
government
its own
says that
course.
law will take its own course and that everything is being done by the book. Dinesh Chaudhary, the letter that you were showing, the Congress says that this letter has only surfaced now. Where was this letter all this while? Maybe it wasn't sent on the 2nd at all. Maybe it's post-dated. Who knows?
Predated.
No, Poonam, does a post-dated letter carry the stamp of the ACP with his signature and the date and time acknowledging it? If you look at the bottom of the letter, please look into it. Look at the bottom of the letter. There is a stamp from the ACP Chikatpalli office, which clearly carries his signature and the date of the acknowledgement.
But the argument is that they may have received it, but they didn't give permission. So how have the management of the theatre or Allu Arjun's crew assumed that you have permission and gone ahead with this? That's the argument the state government seems to be making.
If that's the case, then why didn't the police prevent Allu Arjun from visiting the theatre? Today, Telangana police stops every...
Okay, Mr. Reddy, now let him finish, please. I asked him not to interrupt you. Please accord him the same courtesy. Go ahead.
Poonam, today in Telangana, every ex-MLA, ex-minister is being stopped when they are trying to visit the government hostels for finding out the poor health conditions over there. And if they are not at fault, how did they allow Allu Arjun to visit the theatre when they know that his presence would create an uproar? So the fault clearly lies with the police. And now the government wants to hide their blame and try to shift the blame upon the movie team and the theatre team. Is it how this government should perform? They should have accepted their mistake, taken action on whoever is responsible for it. But now they are trying to make Allu Arjun a scapegoat and show that yes, we are not sparing anybody. No actor is bigger than law and all. But
Brinda Adigedan, is this just about showing that some action is being taken? Of course, when Allu Arjun or an actor of that stature, anyone from the industry is arrested, put behind bars, there is a certain kind of messaging that comes with it. we have the victim's husband herself coming out and saying that this is not what I intended to do, this is not what I wanted, I'm ready to withdraw the case. Why do you think that's happening then?
I think there must be an investigation, because you know that anybody can be pressurized. And we are talking of a celebrity who's just now across India, whose film is like in all the theaters and box office is ringing. So let's not take all of this at face value. I come back to the letter. You gave a letter, there is no denial, there was no consent. What would anybody in their right mind do? Knowing that the crowds that are going to come are going to be massive, and managing that crowd, controlling that crowd requires a certain percentage of people there. Let's say even the police sent you 50 people. Is that enough for 2,000, 4,000 of them over there? So what, again, is the security of Allu Arjun doing? I'm sure they're all people who are very technological savvy. So I'm sure they would have done a Reiki before Allu Arjun came
In
to
fact,
that
Allu
place.
Arjun's security team, his private
Absorb
security, has also
anywhere.
been accused of manhandling the crowd. But I don't think there's any action that's been taken against
action
those
taken.
people either. Which is
Absolutely,
also why questions are being raised in the manner in which Allu Arjun was arrested. But I have very limited time on this, and I want to get in Mr. Srivastav as well. As far as the case against Allu Arjun is concerned, even though there were non-bailable sections that were invoked against him, he did end up getting bail from the High Court today. Does that mean there's just no legal standing for the charges against him, or that the Congress or the state government could not put up a good enough case?
No, I think the High Court has been absolutely correct in looking at the angle that his fundamental right has been violated by the police officials, considering that there is no allegation against Allu Arjun, even in the FIR. See, in the FIR, the complainant has not made any specific complaint against Allu Arjun. The complaint is in a vague nature against the administrative system, which failed. Now, why not action should be taken against the official to whom this letter was given to grant the permission, and who did not do anything on that letter? And who was supposed to get that permission? Whether Allu Arjun was supposed to get that permission, or the theatre owners and other administrative people who were responsible to get
the theatre owners. The letter that's dated 2nd of December is also from the theatre management.
And even if it is considered to what Mr. Reddy has made allegations, considering all these allegations on the face of it also, section 105 and 118 of BNS cannot be attracted. And that was the only reason why High Court granted interim bail, immediate interim bail to Allu Arjun. That is the only reason.
So the sections against Allu Arjun may not be warranted, which is perhaps why he's gotten this bail. Could the state government have invoked better sections to keep the case going against Allu Arjun and everybody else in this case? Because whoever is responsible needs to be held accountable, including the administration and the police, who seems to have failed at their jobs. What happens next, of course, in this, we'll keep a track of that. But I've run out of time here, and I thank you all for joining us on this edition and sharing your perspective. Now, this case is also reminiscent of another case involving another actor that took place in 2017. That was Shah Rukh Khan and what transpired when he was promoting his film Race. We spoke to Shah Rukh Khan's lawyer who represented him back then. He details out why the two cases are different and why Allu Arjun's case that is made out for bail and for relief is much stronger than what Shah Rukh Khan had back then. Listen in.
Sir, Allu Arjun being sent to 14 days of custody, but the argument being made before the Telangana High Court that not even the negligence case stand against Allu Arjun.
I think this is a fit case for quashing, because frankly, all that happened in this, Allu Arjun is completely entitled and within his rights to come and watch a movie of his that is being released. He is not responsible for crowd control. He is not responsible to see that the theatre is not overpacked. That's the job of the cinema theatre and the police with whom they liaise. That's not his job. He comes over there, suddenly there's a stampede with which he has nothing to do. How can he be arraigned for the various sections that he has been arraigned in this FIR which you have sent to me? Also, I recollect that there was a similar situation in the case of Raees in Shah Rukh Khan's case. At that time, the matter was pending in the Gujarat High Court. Shah Rukh had approached us to be ready to appear for him in the Supreme Court in case something went wrong, and we were at that point of time on caveat. But ultimately we succeeded, and the matter in the High Court, Shah Rukh succeeded, and the matter remained there. I don't think this is at all a case where Allu Arjun should have been arraigned. Let me give you another example. Supposing there is a state election going on, and there are various political meetings going on in different parts of the state, and the Chief Minister happens to be passing through one of them, and he decides suddenly on the spot to come there. There's a stampede, there's a riot. Will you hold the Chief Minister responsible? No. So equally, I think this is a case where Allu Arjun's case should be quashed and should definitely get bail.
On that note, it's time for a quick break on this edition of Plain Speak. But on the other side, we'll get you glimpses of Prime Minister Modi's Prayagraj visit ahead of Mahakumbh. Stay tuned.
The arrest has taken place in the Sandhya Theatre Stampede case. An arrest of Allu Arjun, that's the latest that we are learning of. A big development that's coming in from down south, where we learn of Allu Arjun's arrest in the Sandhya Theatre Stampede case. Remember, his film Pushpa 2 has released. It is garnering a lot of applause and attention, and fans are thronging to the cinemas to watch Allu Arjun perform a second time. As far as the sequel is concerned, it resulted in a stampede-like situation where he visited one of the theatres, and now he has been arrested in the particular case. This is a big development. My colleague Swastika has more details. Yes, Swastika.
Well, yes, Allu Arjun is now being taken to the Chikatpalli police station, and this is in connection with the stampede and the death of a woman. With respect to that incident that happened and sent shockwaves. This is on the premiere night. What we're picking up at this juncture, the details are very sketchy, but we know for a fact that the police station, he's been taken to the Chikatpalli police station, that's one, and he's named as the fourth accused in the case.
Okay.
His security men have also been charged, and that is because, remember, when Allu Arjun was entering the venue on the premiere night, his security men were mainly responsible for pushing the crowd that created a cascading effect resulting in the stampede. Now, accusation against him is that he did not inform the police about his arrival at the venue, which is why the police said they did at their best in providing bandobast, but they could not do beyond a certain point. That was because there was not prior permission. Entry and exit points for the actor were also not fixed. It was a nexus that police says was decided completely by the actors team and Sandhya Theatre owners. Remember, the Sandhya Theatre owners have been also arrested in the case. They are currently in the judicial custody. Of course, the biggest update right now is actor Allu Arjun being taken to the police station. We're given to understand what I guess the police will be doing questioning as well. And the second most important thing is that he had also moved the Telangana High Court, remember, seeking a quash petition against the FIR. So that matter has not come up yet. So from legal perspective also, we are expecting that his team may move the court. But at this juncture, he has been taken to the police station.
Right, Swastika, considering Allu Arjun's being there at the premiere night at the Sandhya Theatre, and like you're rightly mentioning that the theatre owners have already been arrested, he's been named as the fourth accused in this particular case. This resulted in the loss of life of one person, a lady, and her son was critically injured. Now, anything that you're learning that came out of the questioning of the theatre owners, the Sandhya Theatre owners, that has led to this particular arrest, and this will be a high-profile arrest. We're talking about Allu Arjun after all.
Well, yes, with respect to the Sandhya owners, they have in fact accepted the fact that this was a fault from their side. But why has Allu Arjun been booked is mainly because the stampede was an aftermath of his arrival. The situation there was such, we've been reporting from Sandhya Theatre as well, it's a cramped space. At that juncture, there were almost 2 lakh plus people who had arrived there. Word went out that Allu Arjun would be arriving there, and immediately, because of that commotion and pandemonium, the moment Allu Arjun arrived, there was complete chaos. Like I said, his security men were pushing the people who had gathered over there, and it was a chaotic situation. As it went out of hand, the security men, in fact, mainly while Allu Arjun was making his way into the theatre, the stampede happened immediately after he entered the theatre, because the moment the guards went through the people, Allu Arjun was safe inside watching the movie, but outside there was complete chaos, and that in that melee of things, one woman, the woman who died, identified as Revati, got caught in the stampede. She lost her sense, and immediately By the time the police sort of dragged her away and tried to revive her, her pulses had already dropped. Her son had also, in fact, lost consciousness in the crowd. He's battling for his life. He continues to be critical, but is currently stable in that sense. He's had a difficulty in breathing. His lungs have been damaged because of the stampede, because he's just an 8-year-old boy. Now, in that context, the Hyderabad police cracking down on not just the theatres but the biggest name of all, Allu Arjun, is a big thing.
Absolutely. Swastika, anything that you're learning after the 3 arrests that had taken place before Allu Arjun's, why at all was there no police permission that was taken? Because it was supposed to be a big event. This is the premiere night of Pushpa 2. We all saw what happened when the release of Pushpa, the first film, really took place. And of course, the sequel was much awaited. And that preparation amply needed to be done. So why was that permission really not taken? What are the theatre owners really saying in that regard?
Well, this is completely a fault of the theatre owners and Allu Arjun's team, because if you look at what the police says, police were completely outnumbered. There were over 2 lakh people who had gathered there around 9:30. By the time they got the word that Allu Arjun and his team of entourage, and Rashmika Mandana was also there, his wife was also there, Devi Sri Prasad, the music director, was also there. By the time they arrived at the scene,
प्रयागराज की इस धरती पर एक नया इतिहास रचा जा रहा है। ये एकता का ऐसा महायज्ञ होगा जिसकी चर्चा पूरी दुनिया में होगी। विश्व का इतना बड़ा आयोजन देश की सांस्कृतिक आध्यात्मिक पहचान को नए शिखर पर स्थापित करेगा।
MDH का किचन की arrest has taken place in the Sandhya Theatre Stampede case. An arrest of Allu Arjun, that's the latest that we are learning of. A big development that's coming in from down south, where we learn of Allu Arjun's arrest in the Sandhya Theatre Stampede case. Remember, his film Pushpa 2 has released. It is garnering a lot of applause and attention, and fans are thronging to the cinemas to watch Allu Arjun perform a second time. As far as the sequel is concerned, it resulted in a stampede-like situation where he visited one of the theatres, and now he has been arrested in that particular case. This is a big development. My colleague Swastika has more details. Yes, Swastika.
well, yes, Allu Arjun is now being taken to the Chikatpalli police station, and this is in connection with the stampede and the death of a woman. With respect to that incident that happened and sent shockwaves. This is on the premiere night. What we're picking up at this juncture, the details are very sketchy, but we know for a fact that the police station, he's been taken to the Chikatpalli police station, that's one, and he's named as the 4th accused in the case.
Okay.
His security man have also been charged, and that is because, remember, when Allu Arjun was entering the venue on the premiere night, his security man were mainly responsible for pushing the crowd that created a cascading effect resulting in the stampede. Now, accusation against him is that he did not inform the police about his arrival at the venue, which is why the police said they did at their best in providing bandobast, but they could not do beyond a certain point. That was because there was not prior permission. Entry and exit points for the actor were also not fixed. It was a nexus that police says was decided completely by the actors team and Sandhya Theatre owners. Remember, the Sandhya Theatre owners have been also arrested in the case. They are currently in the judicial custody. Of course, the biggest update right now is actor Allu Arjun being taken to the police station. We're given to understand what I guess the police will be doing questioning as well. And the second most important thing is that he had also moved the Telangana High Court, remember, seeking a quash petition against the FIR. So that matter has not come up yet. So from legal perspective also, we are expecting that his team may move the court. But at this juncture, he has been taken to the police station.
Right, Swastika, considering Allu Arjun's being there at the premiere night at the Sandhya Theatre, and like you're rightly mentioning that the theatre owners have already been arrested, he's been named as the fourth accused in this particular case. This resulted in the loss of life of one person, a lady, and her son was critically injured. Now, anything that you're learning that came out of the questioning of the theatre owners, the Sandhya Theatre owners, that has led to this particular arrest? And this will be a high-profile arrest. We're talking about Allu Arjun after all.
Well, yes. With respect to the Sandhya owners, they have in fact accepted the fact that this was a fault from their side. But why has Allu Arjun been booked is mainly because the Stampede was an aftermath of his arrival. The situation there was such, we've been reporting from Sandhya Theatre as well, it's a cramped space. At that juncture, there were almost 2 lakh plus people who had arrived there. Word went out that Allu Arjun would be arriving there, and immediately, because of that commotion and pandemonium, the moment Allu Arjun arrived, there was complete chaos. Like I said, his security men were pushing the people who had gathered over there, and it was a chaotic situation. As it went out of hand, the security men, in fact, mainly while Allu Arjun was making his way into the theatre, the stampede happened immediately after he entered the theatre, because the moment the guards went through the people, Allu Arjun was safe inside watching the movie, but outside there was complete chaos, and that in that melee of things, one woman, the woman who died, identified as Revati, got caught in the stampede. She lost her sense, and immediately, by the time the police sort of dragged her away and tried to revive her, her pulses had already dropped. Her son had also, in fact, lost consciousness in the crowd. He's battling for his life. He continues to be critical, but is currently stable in that sense. He's had a difficulty in breathing. His lungs have been damaged because of the stampede, because he's just an 8-year-old boy. Now, in that context, the Hyderabad police cracking down on not just the theatres, but the biggest name of all, Allu Arjun, is a big thing.
Absolutely. Also, Swastika, anything that you're learning after the 3 arrests that are taken place before Allu Arjun's, why at all was there no police permission that was taken? Because it was supposed to be a big event. This is the premiere night of Pushpa 2. We all saw what happened when the release of Pushpa, the first film, really took place. And of course, the sequel was much awaited, and that preparation amply needed to be done. So why was that permission really not taken? What are the theatre owners really saying in that regard?
Well, this is completely a fault of the theatre owners and Allu Arjun's team, because if you look at what...
Welcome back. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde. The Constitution debate kicked off in the Lok Sabha today. It's going on even as we speak, and it's going to get well into tomorrow, when Prime Minister Modi will reply after all members of Parliament would have spoken, given their view of what they feel where we stand as India celebrates 75 years of the Indian Constitution. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, who is also the deputy leader of the Lok Sabha, opened up the debate from the centre side. He made several allegations against the Congress party, also going on to rebut the Samvidhan Khatre Mein Hai narrative that the Congress has been speaking of every election season, asking the Congress to look into their past and then lecture the BJP about it. Promptly, Priyanka Gandhi, who opened up for the Congress party, then responded to the BJP to say that if we made mistakes, we apologize for them. What have you learned? She asked the BJP and the central government. And if you have learned from the Congress party, then why not apologize, said Priyanka Gandhi. In fact, many within the alliance then came out and lauded Priyanka Gandhi for her maiden Lok Sabha speech and for the allegations that she made against the central government. Ally Akhilesh Yadav too stood up right after that and echoed those sentiments against the central government. So then we want to ask here on Plain Speak that is this merely and more so about politics than actually about the principle of the Constitution?
संविधान हर मामले में एक महान दस्तावेज है। संविधान की पवित्रता को किसी भी सूरत में अध्यक्ष महोदय भंग नहीं होने। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं इस सदन में यह कहना चाहता हूं कि कांग्रेस के मित्रों ने अनेक मौके पर संविधान और संवैधानिक भावनाओं का निरादर किया है।
दुख की बात यह है कि मेरे सत्ता पक्ष के साथी जो बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं, इन्होंने इन 10 सालों में ये सुरक्षा कवच तोड़ने का पूरा प्रयास किया है।
ये अध्यक्ष महोदय कैसी चर्चा संविधान की जो है बिना प्रधान की।
इस देश की जनता ही इस संविधान को सुरक्षित रखे। अडानी जी को सारे कोल्ड स्टोरेज आपकी सरकार ने दिए।
Gopal Agarwal, national spokesperson of the BJP, joins us. Pooja Tripathi, spokesperson of the Congress, is with us as well. Pooja Tripathi, let me begin by asking you. We had Priyanka Gandhi today, among many other things that she said, also go on to say that this government under the BJP is breaking this Suraksha Kavach that we have, which is called the Constitution. That they will change the Constitution. Now, this was a narrative that the Congress used in election season as well, but that didn't really help the Congress, did it?
So it didn't really help the Congress. I think it's a very far-fetched statement. You know, the whole hue and cry of 400 par, the whole hue and cry of we'll change the constitution. It was stopped at the numbers where BJP needed its allies to form a government. It didn't score a majority on its own.
Exactly. So when they don't have that 400 mark to change the constitution as the Congress claimed, why are we still having the Congress say the same thing again today?
So because, as Priyanka Gandhi pointed out, you know, Poonam, when Baba Sahib Ambedkar was giving the constitution to the country, people of the country, and on the eve of it, he cautioned the John Stuart Mill's statement that at any cost, liberty should not be laid out even at the feet of the great men. What Priyanka Gandhi did today, what Priyanka Gandhi tore apart, the whole relentless, the Modi government in its last 10 years is bleeding constitution by 1,000 cuts. She said we have asked sorry for emergency. We did an assault on constitution. We are sorry for it. But what you are doing, you are denying justice, social, economic and political to millions of Indians at the stake of one man. When she said that the Samvidhan will rule the country, not the Sangh ka Vidhan, she gave examples. She gave examples from Sambal. She gave examples from Hathras. She gave examples from Manipur. She told that the cries of justice from Hathras, Manipur, Lalitpur or Agra has been drowned in the shore of Modi ki guarantee, New India, Viksit Bharat and things like that. She told how you know, dissent is being criminalized. She told how ED and CBI are turning into extortionist agencies. And that's when she went on to explain each and every aspect. That's where she mentioned that, you know, our constitution is bleeding by 1,000 cuts. There was an emergency that was abrupt and we are sorry for it. And even Mrs. Indira Gandhi went on to say sorry for it. But when will you say sorry for death of hundreds of farmers that protested for your black law, for the economic inequality you unleashed on SMEs, on MSMEs by bringing in Notebandi, which you never ever recur. Today, Rajnath Singh ji said that this thing was the constitution was in pocket of one family. I remember RSS saying that this is not India ka constitution, this is Congress ka constitution, and even going on to burn the effigies of Baba Sahib Ambedkar and the copies of constitution when constitution was finally given to the country. So this is the same party, and this is the party you talk about you talk about the inequality that's increasing day by day. You talk about how democratic principles are thrashed. When Priyanka Gandhi stood up, she represented the collective ethos of we the people of India, and on every single point, she replied to Bharatiya Janata Party and told them that it's the constitution that's the supreme, is the constitution, and everybody would have to abide by the constitution. Everybody should live by.
So the constitution should be our guiding principle, Gopal Agarwal. The Congress says, yes, we've made mistakes in the past, but we've apologized. Is the BJP ready to accept they've made mistakes as well and apologize for them?
No, Congress has made not one mistake. There are several attempts which have been underlined by Rajnath ji today. It was emergency, then Shah Bano case, and there are where strong strictures were passed against Congress 42nd Amendment when they tried to change the basic structure of the Constitution, and the Supreme Court came heavily upon him, the Congress government, that you cannot change the basic structure of the Constitution. They, by 42nd Amendment, they tried to change the basic structure of the Constitution, and now they are trying to make virtue out of it. The thing is just saying sorry. It's only the emergency that they are saying sorry. Are they saying sorry for the Shah Bano reversal case? Are they saying sorry for the when the Supreme Court said that you cannot change the basic structure of the Constitution? They tried several times. It was the guardian of the Constitution, Supreme Court, which did not allow and completely took away the power of changing the basic structure from the Congress party. So if they want to claim they are the guardians of Constitution, that's completely wrong. Historically wrong. Their intention is wrong. They have worked for the benefit of one family alone, and now they want to just say that if there are good things in the Constitution, we as a nation, we the people of India have given this Constitution to us, and the Congress wants to claim that it is Congress which has given this Constitution. So usurping the good things of the Constitution for their one single party and one family, and subverting the basic structure of the Constitution, where Supreme Court intervened and stopped them from doing so. And now they want to say that the BJP want to change the Constitution. Amendment, they have done more than 100 amendments in the Constitution, and Constitution itself gives power for the Parliament to amend certain things, but you cannot change the basic structure. That is completely out of bound for any political party or even Parliament. So the false narrative that the Congress wants to confuse the people, they tried to do it in 2024 main election. That camouflaged false narrative is not acceptable to the people of the country. They have seen through the bad designs and intentions of the Congress. What Constitution says? Look for the work for the welfare of the poor, for the women. Have they any time passed the women reservation? It is our party, Modi ji government, that has passed the women reservation bill. The amount of welfare scheme, the corruption free, their own Prime Minister said that only 15% of the welfare schemes money goes to the people. And now 100% without a single penny loss.
But Gopal Agarwal, because you rake up
my last point, who is the guardian and working for the spirit of the Constitution, working for the welfare of the common man, for the poor, for the women, for the
Sure, but Gopal Agarwal, because you raised a comment by a former Prime Minister about how much actually reaches to the last man on ground, this is exactly what the Congress says, that the BJP is living in the past. You accuse what Nehru did, you accused what Indira did, you keep talking about that, but what about the BJP's rule?
When Congress is not in the power...
Mr. Tripathi, just a minute please. Gopal Agarwal.
When Congress is not in power, so what their act will be now brought to the people? Their corruption, the level of corruption in the... Why they were thrown out of power in 2014? Because of corruption, the leakages in the social welfare, the scale of corruption. Is corruption sanctioned by the Constitution? If the Congress is indulging in corruption in coal block, 5G spectrum, everywhere from the this Augusta Westland defense deal, has the Constitution empowered them to do corruption? Why people throw them out of 2014?
So Pooja Tripathi, the Congress says that they are custodians of the Constitution, unlike the BJP or the NDA. But the Congress is not walking the talk. That's the allegation that not just your political rivals are making, some even within your India bloc are making the same allegation. That this is just theatrics and talk by the Congress, but not really anything in terms of action.
You know, I want to remind the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson that they are reigning the country for the third term. Third term, they are still stuck at Nehru, they are still stuck at Rajiv Ji, they are still stuck at Shah Bano judgment. They will not talk about the raging
debate is about the constitution. It has to be 75 years.
I heard you. Please don't interrupt. You will not talk about the massive inflation that you've unleashed on the country. You will not talk about the 86 rapes that's happening in this country.
Ma'am,
You
we
will
are
not.
But Pooja Tripathi,
5 years of constitution, not 10 years of
27 rupees a
constitution.
day while you are selling each and every port, each and every enterprise to Adani. You are responsible to the 140 crore Indians. But no, this is government.
You are not going to tell us.
You are not a custodian of constitution. You are a custodian of
So how-
Adani's.
No, nobody, neither you nor we.
No,
It
the
is-
justice, the way you have been
The constitution
criminalizing.
is the custodian. This arrogance on your part that you are the
You
custodian.
about how you are.
Constitution is
You
wrong.
know how you are custodians of constitution. All claims, all the facts, all theatrics of going down the constitution and then going on to unleash grave economic policies. The GDP as at the lowest of the last 4 quarters. We are facing an unemployment crisis that's been the highest in 4 decades. I'm sure Nehru is blamed for the inflation. I'm sure Nehru is blamed for the unemployment. I'm sure Nehru is blamed for the 86 rapes that's happening in country. I'm sure Nehru is blamed for everything wrong that is happening in country, because you're for every, you talk about corruption. You go on to form a government with Ajit Pawar, the one you accuse of thousands of 10,000 crore ka admi, Prime Minister accuses, and then you shut cases against them. You are the one who have taken 56
Gopal Agarwal, this allegation about corruption, you spoke about scams of the Congress era, but this is an allegation that often comes to the fore against the BJP, that you open up cases, there is a witch hunt against BJP's political rivals, but the minute that particular person jumps ship, it's like a washing machine. That person is corruption free.
No, nobody is made corruption free. What 2-3 points I want to underline is, one thing is, we are discussing 75 years of constitution. So we are not discussing 10 years of constitution. So if we are,
but it clearly seems to be a your track record versus my track record sort of a debate, isn't it? Because that's what the defense minister did as well today.
No, so second important point is that nobody is above the arrogance of Congress that we are the custodian of constitution. They should understand that the constitution is our constitution, a custodian. Constitution gives us power, gives us duty, defines our well-being, defines the government responsibility to directive principles, how welfare state has to work, how the rule of the law will be there, the division of power between judiciary, between executive and the legislation. But the Congress says we alone are the custodian of constitution. This is the arrogance. You are the service people for the constitution. You are not the guiding principle for the constitution. Do what the constitution has said. Constitution says the government has to work for the welfare of the downtrodden, backward OBC. Why did they not make OBC a constitutional body for such a long period? This OBC commission was made a constitutional body by Modi ji. Why they did not bring the women reservation bill for so many years? Nobody is answering them. This question is important.
Yeah, Pooja Tripathi, speaking of all sections of society, speaking about the OBC specifically, the Dalits, the non-Dalit section that the BJP seems to have gained support in, at least in the recent elections. The Congress spoke about how the reservation will be ended and that the Congress will increase the reservation cap, that certain sections will get more reservation if the Congress is voted to power. All of that seems to have not resonated, especially if you look at your electoral graph recently. Pooja Tripathi.
But tell me, when you bring in lateral reservation,
Mr. Agarwal, just a minute, please. Pooja Tripathi.
When lateral entry have no reservation, when you privatize the whole public sector, when 96% of the employment opportunities are contractualized, making it out of the purview of reservation, who is actually leading an assault on this reservation? The list, crime, the violence on Dalits, the marginalized and the underrepresented sections of the people are the biggest in the non-BJP states. This we are not saying, the Niti Aayog report says. And when you urinate on a man's head, when a Bharatiya Janata Party member urinates on a man's head, is the whole, and when you don't let somebody's wedding procession pass through the village on a horse, this is whole the anti-Dalit mindset that you come across as. And that's what we are saying when you.
But then, Pooja Tripathi, why does that not resonate with voters? Why is it that we see Dalits especially who started voting en masse to the BJP or the NDA?
Electoral victories are a completely different game altogether, Poonam, let's face it.
But if you're saying the constitution is our guiding light, that the will of the people is what guides the parliament, then the will of the people doesn't seem to be standing with the Congress or the India bloc.
To credit the Ladki Behan scheme, the Maya scheme,
they were completely routed away.
If they were completely routed away in Jammu and Kashmir, they were completely routed away in Jharkhand. Like this, you win some, you'll lose some, but that doesn't mean you'll stop on asking them questions on the basis of how they are, creeping in lateral entries, and they had to take it back after the whole hue and cry. How they are creeping in.
But lateral entries is not new. It's not something that is the imagination of this particular government, is it?
They got lateral entry notice. They got
was brought in as a lateral entry earlier as a cabinet secretary education by Indira Gandhi. There are several examples.
So multiple examples there being cited from both sides. Both sides claim to be the custodians of the constitution, which is why we asked on Plain Speak if it was merely about politics then principle. But I thank you both for joining us here on this edition and sharing your perspective. It's a wrap from my side.
Greenlam Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Greenlam Laminates.